I have with me a considerably younger politician from Pakistan. He has a legacy on him. He is currently the youngest political leader, former Foreign Minister of Pakistan and Chairman of the Pakistan People's Party, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to WION. I know you'd be very busy with the campaign, so I'd go and get straight away to the questions. How confident are you of an election win this time? Are you looking forward to being in the center, and will Pakistan get a prime minister this time who has a full term?
I'm quite optimistic about the election results this time, that they will surely be better than the 2018 elections. We've been campaigning extensively around the country, and the response that the Pakistan People's Party has received from all four provinces has been beyond our expectations. Even in Lahore, where I myself am running for a National Assembly seat, the response that the people have given us has been very, very promising. So we're optimistic of some good results. As far as a Prime Minister completing their 5-year term, it hasn't happened yet. But I am promising to bring a new type of politics. I've campaigned that I want to end this old school politics of hate and division, bury a politics of personal animosity, and try and bring about the necessary reconciliation that allows all political forces to agree at least on the terms, the rules of the game. So that we can empower civilian institutions such as parliament, etc., and take back that much needed democratic space. If I am successful, then I hope that not only the next Prime Minister, but every Prime Minister gets the opportunity to complete that term.
Key issues that the Pakistan People's Party is focused on this time. You've rightly mentioned about the letting go of the old age politics. You've been exhorting on leaving old timers and old age politics. That's been something that might include your own family as well. So are we talking at whole, or are there any exceptions?
Okay, so I need to be more specific, I suppose. I'm not saying I want to get rid of just old, as in age-wise old politicians, but those who continue the old thought process of politics, this old tested politics of hate and division that most of the other politicians preach. It is possible to be old and believe in a new type of politics, a new type of thinking that brings people together. It's also possible to be young and believe in the older type of politics of division and hate. So I don't think we should be ageist, but it's a thought process, it's that mindset that we have to overcome.
The timing of Mr. Nawaz Sharif's return, analysts are calling this as a fixed batch. And we've seen the former Prime Minister Imran Khan also calling this election as a mother of all elections. Your speeches are also in line of what Mr. Khan had said. At least the implication is that.
The only difference is that Mr. Khan has only ever fought fixed match elections. His politics is fixed match politics. He's never believed in democratic institutions or the democratic process. You saw when he was Prime Minister for 3.5 years, how he undermined every single democratic institution in Pakistan. He undermined all the space that we've achieved. And I'm not saying it was a great achievement, but as much as we had of a free press, he himself undermined that freedom of the press. He undermined the freedom in our judiciary. So for someone who never believed in the politics of democracy or free and fair elections to now be complaining about the situation is a little bit hypocritical. I have had a consistent approach. The People's Party has had a consistent approach. The last time we were in power between 2008 and 2013, even then we buried the politics of hate and division. We brought about the politics of reconciliation that allowed for the empowering of civilian institutions, for the freedom of the press, for the freedom of our judiciary. And while a democracy is a slow process, it's an evolution process, we don't believe in a sort of overnight a revolution. It does require that level of consistency, and that consistent approach of the Pakistan People's Party has been taking and promises to take in the future for us to grow into the healthy democracy I know that we can become one day.
Is an alliance with any party, the PTI or the PMLN, a possibility, given that if you're not able to attain majority?
So at the moment, I tell you why it's difficult. It's difficult because both political parties, be it the PTI or the Muslim League, are practicing that same old school politics of hate and division. I can't support that kind of politics. I can't support that traditional approach to politics. If they want to start something new, if they want to bury the politics of hate and division, they will find me as a willing political partner, but I'm not so sure that I could join a coalition with them.
This is a key question. You talk about the internal policy a lot. You were the first party that gave an actual manifesto as well. But what about the foreign policy? You've been the foreign minister yourself. What will be the PPP's foreign policy with its neighbors, with India, with Afghanistan, with the Western world at large?
Well, I think that we need a reset for Pakistan's foreign policy. I think we need to broaden our engagement. We have a very healthy engagement with China, and we've made much progress in the China-Pakistan economic corridor. We need to re-engage and create those convergences with the West, with Europe, with America as well. As far as our region is concerned, we have to move towards regional integration. Whether that is Afghanistan, whether that is India, whether that is Iran, Pakistan can't be in a position where we're only talking to, only trading with, and only commercing with one of our neighbors. I dream of the day that we not only have our north-south China-Pakistan economic corridor, but our GT road can be an economic corridor that stretches from east to west and perhaps goes all the way to Chittagong in Bangladesh. Now, in order to achieve that sort of economic integration, that sort of economic cooperation that is not only beneficial to Pakistan, that's not only beneficial to Afghanistan and India and their people, but the entire region, we also have to be in a position where we can address our grievances with our neighbors. So we have concerns about Kashmir. We have concerns about terrorism. We have our own issues. India also has concerns about Kashmir. They also have concerns about terrorism. I believe that the approach that we have been taking, where we won't talk to each other, but we just hope that these issues will sort themselves out, that hasn't been very productive. So I do hope to be able to engage with all of Pakistan's neighbors so that we can break from the past and give the people of all our countries what they deserve, which is peace and prosperity.
Last two questions before I let you go. You mentioned terrorism, the country's internal struggle with terrorism. You yourself have been a victim of it. What do you see as a long-term solution?
As far as Pakistan's struggle with terrorism, we're caught in an unfortunate loop. We had actually managed to create the necessary consensus within Pakistan to not only take on terrorist groups, but to actually break the figurative backbone of terrorism. There was a point not so long ago that every other day there was a terrorist attack in Pakistan. Once we were successful in building that consensus, we brought back relative peace and resultant prosperity to Pakistan. What is extremely frustrating is the policy approach that was adopted by Mr. Khan's government. Vis-a-vis Afghanistan, everybody has their own view, and I have many criticisms of that as well, but I'll stick to our domestic, internal sort of anti-terrorism approach. Mr. Khan drew false parallels between the TTP and the TTA. After the fall of Kabul, he engaged unilaterally in a dialogue with the TTP. He unilaterally freed their prisoners from within Pakistan who were involved in serious terrorist attacks, and not least the APS attack in Peshawar. The terrorists that broke free from Afghan prisons were also welcome to come back to Pakistan, to set up shop, to come live here in the same tribal areas. And now, once again, as a direct result of these policy decisions and to a certain extent the fall of Kabul and the resulting change in the environment over there, Pakistan is once again experiencing the brunt of terrorism. This is not a trajectory that we can continue on. We want internal assessment. I'm not necessarily going to go as far as to say accountability, but there needs to be some sort of internal process of looking inward, that how is it possible that after the entire country builds this consensus, we do in Pakistan what was not possible in Afghanistan. We defeat the terrorists on our side of the border, and a prime minister and his entire team and his security setup can decide on their own that actually we're going to reverse all these gains. We have to be serious about taking these groups on. We have to be serious about engaging our neighbors so that they, within their territory, take these groups on. But we also have to be serious within Pakistan that we're not going to hit reverse gear again. I won't be able to convince the police to fight. I won't be able to convince the army to fight if they believe that after fighting we'll be back on square one.
Mr. Khan's had 2 convictions back to back. You yourself have been talking about not having a level playing field, in Punjab at least. We've been seeing your tweets as well. Your party candidates have been subject to alleged torture and violence as well by one party or the other, as in your tweets you've mentioned. How do you have to respond to the level playing field bit, both by Mr. Khan and on your part?
As far as our level playing field is concerned, the Pakistan People's Party, unfortunately, has always had complaints about a level playing field. As far as the high-handedness of the police in Punjab, and a couple of examples that my party shared yesterday, it is unfortunate. It shows the insecurity about Mr. Sharif and the lack of confidence in his own popularity, that everywhere from Lahore, Multan and Sargodha, we're getting petty complaints. But that's not something new for the People's Party. We've faced them before, we'll face them again. We're optimistic that inshallah we will win and give them a surprise. As far as Mr. Khan's complaint is concerned, as I mentioned earlier to you, it just is extremely unfortunate that Mr. Khan's has traditionally applied a certain type of politics. As I said, he's only played fixed matches before. He's only conducted himself in an environment where it's not even a question about a level playing field. The pitch is made for him. So in that sense, his complaints today fall on deaf ears. If literally in the last election when we were together, we saw, I'm here in Malakand today. I was not allowed to campaign here in the last election. They didn't let us leave my candidate's house. Having said that, I take no pleasure in Mr. Khan's convictions. I'm not celebrating the fact that yet another Prime Minister is convicted. And whether it was 2013, where Prime Minister Gilani was disqualified and couldn't run, then 2018, when Mr. Sharif was disqualified and couldn't run. In this election, Mr. Khan is disqualified and can't run. It's sort of become the way of Pakistani politics. I do want to break that tradition, that way, this vicious cycle that we've been caught in. I don't think that this is this is the way to bring political stability and the resultant economic stability. But as far as Mr. Khan's convictions are concerned, you will agree with me that despite Pakistan's history, the fact that he lost a diplomatic cipher, a confidential national security document that was published the day after he was arrested, and that he was on record having said that he lost said document, that a conviction in that case is not a surprise. In the case of Mr. Trump in the United States, he took some confidential documents home and his house was raided by the CIA or FBI or the Archives Department, whatever it is, in the United States. And surely Mr. Khan should have known that if he was going to play politics with national security documents, if the day after his arrest an alleged copy of that document is printed in a foreign publication, then there would be some form of accountability. I do hope that if the Pakistan People's Party gets to form a government, I'm able to form, as I've promised, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So we can go through Pakistan's history, identify where there have been injustices, address these issues, but then move on. Move on and build a society where we agree that politics will remain between a sort of a political domain. We'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to have political differences. We won't turn politics into the politics of personal animosity like the Sharifs have done now and Mr. Khan did before him. If I do manage to pull that off, we will be able to build the necessary political stability, and that will lead to the necessary economic stability.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, for taking your time speaking to the audience.
Thank you, and it's always a pleasure speaking to you.